40 points to 14 to the Catalans Dragons. Robert Hicks was the referee with his beard still in place. In terms of the stats, there was more carries and loads more metres for Catalans, 357 more. Better average gain and more breaks. They were all the numbers that backed up Catalans' big win. The Dragons did make more errors and Cass pushed the play with more offloads, though. Individually, Israel Folau gave us an opportunity to finally talk about what he does on the field this year. 1 try, 3 try assists, 6 tackle loss, 154 metres and 2 clean breaks from him. Ben Garcia started at hooker but played most of the game in the back row. 1 try, 46 tackles, 11 marker tackles, 123 metres for an all-round performance from him. Tom Davies, 2 tries and 146 metres, and Jason Battieri, 1 try and 127 metres for the losing Cass side. Daryl Alferts, we'll give him the nice time chat for now, and then we'll see where we get to. 7 tackle busts and 154 metres. Greg Eden, 1 try assist, 130 metres. Ollie Holmes, 42 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, and Mike McMeekan, 44 tackles. We got some fan views in, Sarah.
Yep, Dr. Bob Phillips says, anyone else have the same icky feeling when Folau did something good on the pitch like when Louis does? He was clearly brilliant, which makes it worse.
Josh said, I'm sure there were some players with sunstroke out there for Cass. Some poor decisions like throwing the ball about in your green goal area. Cass were always going to struggle with all those players missing, all 2 of them. Catalans are a confused team. Folau showed really why Catalan signed him, and their fullback had a great game as well. I suppose Catalan did get a taste of the new rules last week. Maybe a factor.
Pop the Viking said Castleford started better of the 2 and were well worth the lead, but Catalan hit back before a sin bin started to cost Cass. Errors from Cass helped to put Catalan into a good field position and increase their lead. Cass didn't look like scoring. A good win for Catalan over a disappointing Cass side.
Mark Butler said, thanks Peter Matautia. Just as I was about to turn the game off, which looks like Catalan away capitulation writ large, you drop an opponent on his head and all hell breaks loose. Losing control and man lie isn't that notable, but perhaps we can blame rustiness for Cass not touching the ball again after the sin bin, apart from all those kickoffs.
And Fatboy Rob said, great start for Cass. That is all.
Yeah, he just... I mean, he pulled the quilt over his eyes and didn't watch the rest of the game, obviously. Makes his own narrative up there, Rob. But, Peter Matautia has been banned for 2 games and also got a caution for his shoulder charge as well. I thought he was lucky to get away with a caution on that because there was a bit of head contact in that as well, I think. It wasn't direct to the head, but I think still... he put himself about and didn't help his team, unfortunately, with the way he put himself about. I don't know if it was the purple ponytail or some other reason, Sarah. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, at one point, was it 2 tries in 4 minutes Castleford scored?
Yeah, it was 14-0 after 15 minutes, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah. I know Leon Price was very critical of them taking the 2 to put it 14-0 rather than rolling out the pressure to capitalise and maybe go 18-0. And
I would always sort of go along with that as well. I'm never a fan of taking the 2. And I
think it depends on the situation, but when you've so clearly got the opposition on the back foot and you're already 12-0 up within that amount of time, I don't see why you wouldn't try and get at least another score as quickly as you can.
No, exactly. It always confuses me that teams will take the 2 in that scenario, but they won't try and run out the set and then drop a goal at the end of the set if they can't find a way to score a try. It kind of... both of the 2 things create a 3-score margin in that circumstance. And it did seem to see a change after that. We got Tom Davies' try, then the Matautia sin bin in, and then it was all Israel Folau, weren't it, for the rest of for that sort of second half of the first half. He showed. I think you saw a little bit of this in the game Castleford hosted Catalans earlier in the season, but the television cameras have only seen him be disappointing so far.
No, when Hull played Catalans.
Yeah.
Do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said when Castle. Yeah, no, he won the game for Catalans against us. He was the difference.
Yeah, and this was an opportunity for like everyone to see that, weren't it? With the TV cameras there.
Yeah,
I think.
he's such a big player with so much speed.
It's got the full athletic skill set. No wonder he's been a sort of player in multiple different oval ball sports, because he's got the athleticism to find a way to be useful in them all, hasn't he? With his leaping ability, with his power, and with his speed, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah, and defensively he's very solid as well.
Yeah, and last week he really didn't look on it. He didn't seem to have any influence at all on the game against St Helens when Catalans didn't have much ball. But in this game, once he started to get some ball, after that penalty, in reality, they started to get their hands on the ball a bit more, and he looked really dangerous. Then Peter Matautia did something incredibly dangerous, totally deserved a 2-match ban for that. But even more dangerous for his team in a way maybe was the offload inside his own in-goal area by Daryl Alford. We feel a bit sorry for Daryl Alford. He's been a star for Cass so far this year.
I don't know. It's just inexcusable. It's just ridiculous. Why would you do it? Like,
obviously, he thought Greg Eden would have a better chance of getting out of the in-goal, but he had no chance, did he, if he didn't get the ball? So it was not a high percentage play, was it?
No. It just brought back memories of 2005 Challenge Cup final when Marcus Bai did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God, Marcus Bai would wish that wasn't done on such a big stage, wouldn't he? He gets brought up every time. But Benjamin Garcia was the beneficiary of that sloppy bit of play in his own in-goal area, and I think Benjamin Garcia certainly deserved that. He didn't get any points in the Man of Steel or in the Albert Goldthorpe medal, but I sort of think I'd have maybe had him as my second most impressive Catalans player in the game. Tom Davies got some notes, Jason Battieri, Alex Acosta as well, but I had Garcia behind Folau, maybe alongside Davies as the next best for Catalans. I don't know how you saw it. Who did you see as the star men, maybe outside of Folau, who we've talked a bit about already?
Yeah, I mean, Davies did, he did play well, didn't he? It was good to see that. And it's hard to say because they looked such a different team from last week.
Yeah, and Cass in the second half gave very little in the way of opposition as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think as in most matches this week, for one team it's hard to pick a standout because they were all good, and for the other team it's hard to pick a standout because they were all so bad.
Yeah, it's a fair
and
shout.
That's kind of the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, highlight moments. I want to just mention Michael Shenton's unbelievable ball skills in that first try. How that ball didn't hit the floor until he had control of it to ground it, I think is remarkable from Shenton. So I think he deserves.
Joshua kept saying he's lost that, and I was like, no, it's still attached to him.
It was amazing, wasn't it? It was remarkable.
Yeah.
But the highlight moment has to be that Folau try, doesn't it? And Shenton won't like us talking about that because it's the opposite. It's on the opposite end for him there, isn't it? He was absolutely trampled over.
Yeah.
It was that try in itself was a hugely impressive demonstration of why Catalans overlooked some of the other aspects about his, about the homophobic centre's personal views to sign him as a rugby player.
Yeah, I think it really does underline, what the club saw in him as potential. And I guess for the team as a whole, I think if they had gone on to be totally trounced by Castleford in the same way as St Helens had done last week, it just makes the upcoming weeks feel more and more depressing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and with all the other focus around other things, including what we talked about before around the fixture situation, the travel costs, the fact that they're coming in and out of the country, the concerns around they should be able to get an exemption, but the concerns around the increase in coronavirus in different parts of different regions and stuff, making travel even more complicated. They've got all that to deal with as well. So having another heavy defeat, you're right. They had to get it right, and they did.
Yeah.
The second game on Saturday saw Warrington and Hull KR make their first appearances of the restart. James Child also made his first appearance, referee in this game. It was 14-6 to the wire at half-time, and it finished 40 points to 10 to them by the end. In terms of the stats, Warrington had better attacking efficiency than Hull KR, which overcame their inferior defensive efficiency. 361 more metres at 1.1 metres per carry, better average gain and fewer errors. 16 to 21 was the error count. Wire on the positive side of that. 7 tries from 9 breaks for Warrington as well, so they took their opportunities. Hull KR made a break more, but scores 5 tries less. They didn't take their opportunities, thanks in part to their higher error count. Hull KR did have a 5.5% better team tackle success rate, so I guess their ability to bust out of tackles was kind of what made this game entertaining for the first half before it was a one-way thing in the second half. Do you want to start us off with the first fan view?
Yep, Tom Andrews says, down at half-time, slightly pissed. Bollocked at full-time, really pissed. So happy rugby's back. Who cares if we throw it about? No relegation, let's just try play decent rugby. And if that's not good enough, well, never mind. Ben Crook's still top try scorer. This reflects worse on your wingers.
I think the emphasis should have been on your there. I'm not sure, though. Paige gave us the other side of that, what I'm guessing was a lot of beers in a lot of sunshine. So Paige said, firstly, can we address Tony Smith's new look? He fits in well with the East Hull lot. Looks like he shaved his head and stuck it on his face. Anyway, Rovers played well for all of a minute, then played schoolboy rugby for the rest of the match. Tom thought Rovers played a great match, to many beers in the sun for that point of view. His review probably doesn't make sense as he's drunk. Good job they scrapped relegation.
David Hunter, there, used my actual name. Oh, I see, yeah. He's actually put all the letters in his name. So great to see the Wire back. My Super League team, and they got the right result. Clunky, but they won.
Tom must have been drunk because he hit enter twice on his review because it's coming through twice. POB the Viking said, KR started well and then it was all Warrington. Yeah, KR started well for like the first 60 seconds and looked dynamite, didn't they? That short kick-off, then the attacking move swung from one side of the pitch to the other and a try in the corner. It all looked so great. Where did it all go wrong for Rovers?
The match lasted 80 minutes rather than 80 seconds.
I mean, Warrington did their best to make the competition who could make the most errors in the first half, didn't they? It was very entertaining stuff because it was very enterprising stuff, but ultimately it had very little end product, and it was a massive lesson in living by the sword and dying by the sword, wasn't it? In particular in the first half of this game, but Hull stuck to that philosophy throughout. Okay, I did.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say any individual stand out for you in this game in particular.
Well, I actually thought that Sean Kenny Dowell was harshly sin-binned and was only sin-binned because the Warrington player had already been sin-binned. Because I didn't really...
So Anthony Gelling was sin-binned for a dangerous challenge on Matty G. It was a ridiculous challenge, wasn't it, really? Absolutely no need to do what he did there, and he's had a 2-game ban, and I kind of think it maybe could have been more. The circumstances of that tackle, he was on the floor almost, and Gelling just made sure he got him in a bad position. It felt bad, that one. And then the Kenny Dowell sin-binning was for a professional foul.
You've got, I personally, I didn't even think it warranted a penalty. I thought it was on him for such a short amount of time. I thought it was a very, very harsh sin binning.
Yeah, and it did. Yeah, I do agree. It didn't seem like it was. it didn't seem like the two things deserve the same level of punishment. I'll say it that way. But the match review panel has obviously seen that come to pass. What about any players